Mesiah Daf Samach. Last line. You can't lower the price. But Habin said, good, lower the price. My time around, how come Habin say you should lower the price? Gemara says, because it'll lower the market value and that'll help everybody. Mishnah said, you can't sift the crushed beans, and Abashol said it. According to Abashol, Hamim says mutar. Hamim, which Hamim? Rabbi Acha. Tanya brother says Rabbi Acha matir b'davar nereh. Rabbi Acha says that as long as people could see what you did is mutar, and therefore if you did it, it is since it's discernible, it's mutar. Emethar kasin lo adam lo bet. You shouldn't beautify things to make it look better. You should not make the animal's hair stand straight like a stick. We'll explain what that means. You should not inflate the intestines to make it look fat. You should not soak the meat in water because that makes it look better. What does it mean you shouldn't make the hair stand up like a stick? In Babel it said that means giving him certain type of broth, which helps it look taller. Zeri says simpler that you brush the hair. Shmuel allowed sellers to attach silk things to a coat to make it look pretty. Rav Yehuda allowed to sell the sellers to starch their garments. Allowed sellers to beat the canvas to make it look nice. Rav said you're allowed to paint arrows. Papa allowed sellers to paint their baskets. And you shouldn't beautify things. So how do we say it's mutar? The thing that we just said that the rabbis allowed was by new items. New items, you're allowed to make it beautiful. Old items, you can't make it look beautiful because then people will think that it's new. Next part of Mishnah. Pirkus da'atamahi. What do you mean beautifying a person? How does that happen to fool someone beautifying an Eved? There's one time an old Goy slave. He dyed his hair and beard black. That was previously white. He says, he says, buy me. He says, Rabbi says to him, nope. Poor people should be part of your house. Yani hire poor people to give them parnasah to help you out. And Papa Shmuel bought him. One time he told him, please give me some water. He washed his hair, and therefore he saw was white. And he told him, I'm older than your father, and I can't do that. I can't bring water. Papa called himself Tzaddik a righteous person is rescued from problems, and someone else takes over for the trouble. Meaning, Rava listened to the Chachamim and the Mishnah to say that you should hire Jewish people, and therefore he was saved from this balagan, and he said, I didn't, and therefore I'm suffering. Next, Mish Perek. Talking about Rabit. Ezehu neshech ve'ezehu tarbit. The Torah says in the Pesach, we use two different words to explain Rabit, interest. One was neshech, one was tarbit. Neshech sounds like biting, and tarbit means increasing. Right? You increase the benefactor is getting increased in funds or whatever it is, and the other guy is getting bitten. What's considered neshech? Someone lends a sela coin, which is 4 dinars, for 5 dinars, letting $1 to get back $1.20. Sa'atayim heitin b'shalosh, or he lends 2 se'ahs of wheat, 2 pounds of wheat, to be paid back for 3 pounds of wheat. Asur, those are asur, that bites the borrower. Be'ezu tarbit was considered tarbit. Marbeh beperot increases his assets by trading fruits. What does that mean? If he bought wheat at a price of 1 gold dinar per core, which is 25 silver, and that was the market price, and he didn't take it right away, so he pre-bought it. Amdu hitin belamet dinarim, and then the price went up to 30. Amarlo tenli hatay, he says, okay, I'm ready for my wheat. I want to sell it and buy wine. Now that it's worth $30, I want to buy wine with it. Like, okay, the wheat that I owe you, I don't have. I'll give you credit for $30. And now you have a claim against me, like a $30 voucher for wine. But I don't have wine at that time. So now that's a problem, because if during this time the wine could go up or down, and that would be an interest on the $30. Okay. Since the Mishnah starts talking about the Rabbanan, it leaves the Doraita halachot. Then it starts talking about the Rabbanan. It sounds like Midoraita from Torah that Neshech and Tarbit are the same thing. I mean, we started giving examples of cases of the Rabbanan cases of separately, but that sounds like that there's no Doraita case of that they're separate. It sounds like Neshech and Tarbit are the same thing. Okay, Pasuk says it clearly. Neshech kesef v'ribit ochel. It says neshech when it talks about money, and ribit by slash tarbit by food. Sounds like it's different. Or it says b'tizbra. How can you say that? It doesn't make sense. The ika neshech b'lo tarbit. Can there be a neshech, yani a biting of the borrower, without tarbit, the increasing of the wealth of the lender? With tarbit b'lo neshech or vice versa? Can you have an increase of the lender without a biting of the borrower? Neshech b'lo tarbit hechidami. What would be that case? The Gemara says, let's try to think about it. If you tell me that I lent $100 to be paid back 120, and therefore during that time the exchange rate, so we'll use the pirutot because it's more applicable. I lent 100 pirutot to be paid back 120. Therefore, originally it was worth 100 pirutot per silver coin, danka coin. At the end, it was worth 120. There was a bite. I lost an extra 20 pirutot. I took 100 from him. Now I'm paying back 120. But there was no increase for the guy because I gave him a danka and I got back a danka. So therefore, maybe that's considered a bite without an increase. The Gemara says no. So if you're going according to the beginning, when the loan happened, one guy got bitten, he lost money, the other guy increased money. If you're going according to the end, yani the silver coin is being given, nothing. The guy gave a coin, got a coin back. So that can't be it. But two tarbit will be a case of increase without a biting. Every time that I lent 100 piritot and gave back 100 piritot, originally it was 100 piritot per danka coin, and then then it had to be 100 piritot for a fifth of the dinar instead of the sixth. So instead of being 16%, it was now 20%, which is more. That sounds like it's not neshech because the guy lent out 100 for 100, but it is tarbit because the lender increased it. He lent it out when it was 16% and he got back an extra fifth. Now it's a fifth. So Ibatat, the Gemara answers the same thing. Ibatat make it as if you're going to the beginning, there's no increase, no biting. Ibatat so if you're going to the end, there is an increase and there's a bite. So no such thing as a doraita separation between tarabit and neshech. You will not find a case between them. So why did the Torah mention both? To give two separate isurim. The pasuk says, "You shall not give another Jew your money for neshech or marbit for your food." And the other neshech because it's for ribit ochel. So that seemingly teaches me that there's ribit neshech only by money and ribit is for food. Neshech beochel minayin. How do I know that neshech applies to food? The Mulamar pasuk says neshech ochel. Another pasuk says neshech is by food. Ribit bekesef minan. I don't know ribit applies by money. The Mulamar neshech kesef. Another pasuk mentions neshech by money. Im eno inyan neshech kesef arei she'rekvar ne'emar lo tashich achicha. So now, if this pasuk does not say mean that the neshech applies to money because I have a different pasuk that teaches me neshech by your brother. Therefore, teaching me that this is teaching me that rebit applies to money as well. Yani the repetition of neshech by kesef teaches me rebit by kesef. Okay, so now in the elam below it, so I only know that I can't borrow the money on interest. I know that the lender also has an isur of interest. The pasuk mentions it by both lender and borrower. By the borrower, there's no difference whether it's money or food or neshech or rebit. So by the lender, it always has to work by money, food, and etc. I don't know that it applies to anything. I don't know that I borrow 5 laptops, I can't pay back 6 laptops. The pasuk specifically mentions kol davar, anything. Ravina says, Lo neshech be'ochel v'lo rebit be'kesef tzrichikra. The isur of neshech on food or the isur of rebit by money doesn't need a gzerah shavah to teach me because it can be learned from the pasuk by itself. Because how? The iktiv et kaspechel lo titen lo b'neshech ve'achat marbit. If the pasuk wrote you should not lend your money for neshech or your food for marbit, that sounds like what we said earlier. Okay, neshech refers specifically to money, and marbit is for food. but it didn't say it like that. It said it, Pashut Dichtiv, et kaspecha lo titen lo beneshech, uv marbit lo titen ochlecha. The neshech and marbit are the center of the pasuk, sandwiched by the money and food, versus money, neshech, money, marbit, food. Didn't do that. It said food, money, neshech, food, marbit, food. So therefore, kari behachi, there since the isurim is in the middle and the items on the sides, it sound therefore we read it twice. What does that mean? Et kaspecha lo titen lo beneshech marbit. You should not give your money for neshech marbit. But neshech marbit lo titen lo lecha. Neshech marbit are not for food as well. Nani, we're applying both isurim to both at the same time. What does that do? Ilu ne'emar kra, if the pasuk didn't mention it, haiti omer gzera shava, then maybe I would have said gzera shava. Akshav shemar kana, but now the pasuk gzera shava, don't say I don't need the gzera shava anymore. What's the point? We do have gzera shava. The neshech called davar asher yishach. Gzera teach you that the isur of neshech, that anything in interest besides the looked at the ma'aleh, that any interest for the other type of items besides money and food is asur, because that was not mentioned by the lender. Zera Shava teaches you that it applies to the lender as well. Okay, Amarava. So now that we have three separate isurim here, we brought down recently price fraud, interest, and stealing. Why did the Torah need to mention all of them? Amarava, lama lav beribit. How come the Torah to mention an isur by ribit, interest, lav begezel, and isur by gezel, stealing, lav be'ona'ah, and price fraud? Meaning they're all similar. You're stopping people from their own property. So maybe you should have mentioned just one, not the other. If you only mentioned the case of rebit and not the robbery and fraud, it's a maybe you mention, okay, fine, rebit is a hidush. That the afilu v'lovei asra, because even the lender, even the borrower can't do it. That's a hidush. Therefore, maybe you wouldn't know the others. Because only mentioned by the case of robbery, because you're taking it without permission. But maybe by fraud, which there's no forcing going on, maybe leaving the tar. We only mention the case of price fraud, not the other two. Because maybe that is asur because he doesn't even know that he got scammed. But robbery and interest, the guy is forgiving it. Therefore, all three cases are necessary. So now we said, okay, you can't learn one by itself. But what if you wrote two and skipped one? You can't learn one from the other. Maybe we should learn one from two. Gemara says, hi teti. Which one should be left out and then learn from the other two? Should we only written robbery and fraud and leave out interest? That wouldn't be good because these two cases of robbery and fraud are happening without consent. But rebit is with consent. So therefore, you need to teach me interest. Maybe the Torah should have skipped price fraud. And you learn price fraud from robbery and interest. But then no, it's not a good thing. But the other two cases, robbery and interest, are not a regular standard way of doing transactions, while price fraud might be considered a good transaction. Maybe the Torah should have skipped robbery and learn robbery from fraud and interest. Because what's the problem? That the rebit is a hidush, and therefore you can't be a good source. But we know that fraud teaches you that it's a hidush, and you still can't do it. But maybe you might say that fraud's different because the guy doesn't even know that he got scammed. Interest, the guy knows about it, and he's being mochelet. He wants to go through the transaction, and the Torah still says asur. So what's the catch-22? So therefore, there's no direct correlation, but the common denominator between all three of them is that there's a scam going on. And therefore I could bring in robbery as well, that it's also asur. Right. So therefore we're seemingly saying that gezel, robbery, can be learned out from interest and price fraud. And I don't need the Torah to teach me that it's asur. So Gemara says that the Gemara is going to have to answer why we need to teach gezel if seemingly we could have learned it by itself. Tomorrow.